But we've seen one picture of Cho Sung-hui. Now, NBC News' justice correspondent Pete Williams has more. Here now is the story.
Just minutes after firing 2 fatal shots at the Virginia Tech dormitory on Monday, Cho Sung-hui returned to his own dorm room and made the final preparations to mail what appears to be a video confession.
When the time came, I did it. I had to.
In a separate written document, he includes 29 photos he apparently took of himself. He looks like a normal, smiling college student in only the first 2. In the rest, he presents the stern face and strikes the pose that was very likely what his victims saw later on Monday. In 11 of the pictures, he aims handguns at the camera, likely the very ones he bought in the past 2 months. In his 1,800-word diatribe, he expresses rage, resentment, and a desire to get even. With exactly whom, he never says.
You had 100 billion chances and ways to have avoided today, but you decided to spill my blood. You forced me into a corner and gave me only one option. The decision was yours. Now you have blood on your hands that will never wash off.
Much of it is incoherent, laced with profanity. He rails against hedonism and Christianity.
You just loved crucifying me. You loved inducing cancer in my head, terrorizing my heart, and raping my soul all this time.
Though he tried to cover his tracks by filing down the serial numbers on his guns, he obviously wanted the world to know who was responsible for the worst mass shooting in America. He began working on these materials at least 6 days beforehand.
I didn't have to do this. I could have left. I could have fled. But no, I will no longer run. It's not for me. For my children. For my brothers and sisters that you I did it for them.
Boy, that is the creepiest thing I've seen this year. For analysis of all this, we are joined on the phone now by Bill Gavin, former assistant director of the FBI in New York. Bill. You there?
Yes, I'm here, Tucker.
I don't know if you heard that. I assume you did.
Yes,
it
sir,
seems
I
that
did.
one mystery is solved. This man is mentally ill.
It is the bizarre is kind of the a bad word for it, but I've never seen anything quite like this. Here's a kid who is seething inside. He conducts his daily life in front of other people, not looking at them, wearing sunglasses so that he can avoid eye contact. He does all these kinds of things to remain anonymous, yet he produces this film. I suspect it's probably because he wanted to come from the grave and tell people exactly what he did and why he did it. Not that it makes any sense to anybody, Tucker. What he said, it doesn't make any sense from what we've seen so far. It's just that he has to say it in his own way. It made sense to him, I guess, and that's all it counts. But it is absolutely, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and let me say, Bill, I mean, this guy is a monster, and the fact that he is mentally ill is not in any way an excuse for the atrocities he committed. But I think one of the reasons we showed this is because it does answer an important question. You know, I think the public wants to know, I know I want to know, what was in this man's mind? Why did he do this? Some of these phrases tell me, having been around crime and disorder for your life, tell me if you recognize things like this. You loved inducing cancer in my head, terrorizing my heart, raping my soul all this time. Does that sound, is that schizophrenia? What is that? It's not a political statement.
You just loved crucifying me. You loved inducing cancer in my head, terrorizing my heart, and raping my soul all this time.
Tucker, no, it's not a political statement. It's what he really believes inside his heart. And he does this on tape because he really doesn't want anybody to have the right to probe inside his soul, to get to him, to talk to him, to really find out what he's thinking. So he puts it on tape. That way there's no two-way dialogue. It's only him. It's his thoughts that come out to everybody. It is just absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Now, tell us, and maybe this question answers itself. He's crazy, but he clearly was rational enough to make a certain number of fairly complicated decisions. One of them, he decided to file off the serial numbers, or attempt to. I'm not sure that's actually possible, but he tried to file off the serial numbers from these weapons, but he killed himself in the end anyway. What does that add up to?
It's bizarre. You put the in the backpack that they have a bill of sale for one of the weapons, and he bought one of them with a credit card. I mean, he knew that was going to happen. Why he would do that is only in his mind. Only he knows why he would do something like that. It makes no sense to a sane person acting sanely.
It's interesting, having watched, and I'm glad we got to see Cho speak himself, because he is the mystery at the center of all this. He seems so crazy. It's hard to believe a guy like that could exist in contemporary normal society, go to class every day at Virginia Tech, and people wouldn't know. Have you seen cases where someone this demented and violent can blend in to some extent in normal society?
The extent to which he blended in, Tucker, is probably minimal. Everybody recognized him as a loner. Then when he started writing the plays and the poems, his teachers and his fellow students said, I don't even want to be in the same room with this guy. But the system...
Our nation is shocked and saddened by the news of the shootings at Virginia Tech today. The exact toll has not yet been confirmed, but it appears that more than 30 people were killed and many more were wounded. I've spoken with Governor Tim Kaine and Virginia Tech President Charles Steger. I told them that Laura and I and many across our nation are praying for the victims and their families and all the members of the university community who have been devastated by this terrible tragedy. I told them that my administration would do everything possible to assist with the investigation, and that I pledged that we would stand ready to help local law enforcement and the local community in any way we can during this time of sorrow. Schools should be places of safety and sanctuary and learning. When that sanctuary is violated, the impact is felt in every American classroom and every American community. Today our nation grieves with those who have lost loved ones at Virginia Tech. We hold the victims in our hearts, we lift them up in our prayers, and we ask a loving God to comfort those who are suffering today. Thank you.
The President of the United States.